They say Guilty Gear players strongly dislike any character that is not their main, and Venom is no exception to this rule. With Venom, a Guilty Gear regular, finally making his return to Guilty Gear Strive, I wanted to share what the character does and what annoys people about playing against him. Now, Venom made his original appearance in Guilty Gear X, but people know him generally from Guilty Gear XX and Guilty Gear Xrd. Two games are still being played competitively to this day. This makes Venom a real OG. For someone who has only played Strive, his character concept would seem familiar because of how they redesigned Jacko for Strive. And actually, a player that has been grinding Strive would see notes of Venom in many characters already in the game. The Jacko comparison, for example, comes from his baseline gimmick. He places pool balls on the screen, and depending on how he hits them, they travel at different angles at different speeds. For example, he can teleport to a projectile that's been set on the screen, the same way that Testament can do by teleporting to the succubus after they do a fireball. Venom also has a very powerful low-profile move in his 2D that characters like Soul has in 2D, Jacko has in 2K and 2D, and Testament has in 2K. Venom's 6P is very strong and could definitely be compared to powerful 6Ps in Strive like Ramathal's, again, Testaments, or a character like Zato. So what makes Venom unique enough for the developers to add him this late in the game compared to other characters in XX or Xrd? Well, first off, from a neutral perspective, he has a more in-depth approach to the set projectile, follow up by hitting projectile kind of game flow that you see in some other characters. So for instance, Testament has a game flow something like this. First, Testament does a fireball. When the fireball is done, a succubus gets put on screen. Then Testament can either do another fireball, they can just run around, do whatever. They can teleport or teleport feint, or do a crow. If the crow makes contact with the opponent, then all of Testament's attacks are powered up because of the stain effect popping. But they would have to do another fireball to get access to the additional movement option in teleport, plus the threat of doing crow again and keeping your opponent in stain. So it's a lengthy description to describe like a point A to point B type playstyle. Now Jacko has a set a minion and she can only do this two ways. She could either set the minion in front of her, or she could pull it out over her head. Now she can interact with the minions many ways. Punches, kicks, special moves all interact with where the minion's gonna go, what angle, and how fast. But in the end, it all comes from the same minion set. So Venom is more in depth than these two descriptions. And this mainly comes from the various ways he can set up his pool balls. And it's a straight up different formation depending on which button press he uses to put the ball out. And mobility wise, he's different as well. He does have a teleport that has a relationship with projectiles that he set on screen. But as of Xrd, he teleports to the last pool ball that's set on screen, which can be all over the place depending on what the Venom player did. So he has a little bit more flexibility with this option. From an offensive perspective, he's very open-ended. And this is because he has multiple ways he can win the game. So first off, he can aim to strike throw you. It's a pretty common win condition that many fighting game players are familiar with. Since he can combo up his throw, you can say that his strike and his throw have similar return situation-wise. And he has that Guilty Gear spice of fast, overwhelming pressure with answers, but the opponent has to be quick to respond lest they get overwhelmed. Now, once a player gets a knockdown with Venom, he can mix you up with highs and lows. He's very good at this, between using the pool ball to cover his high-low options, or using his special move Mad Struggle, which is a fast, let's say instant overhead that can also beat throw attempts and escapes. Finally, he can also do setups using his upgraded pool balls to do chip damage. So either they use it to drain your meter, or Venom uses it to end the round against an opponent with low HP. It's pretty easy to say that Venom is like a classic Arxis hybrid Sonar play type character, but he's kind of the forefather of a lot of these characters, and not super streamlined yet. So what was rough about playing against Venom before then? Well, any character is rough to learn how to fight against when you're new, but Venom is extra rough. The reason is you have to learn some small mechanics about the game, or else he's going to smother you with his balls. For example, he forces you to not only learn how to instant block, but also to instant block in the air. Instant block is a mechanic that's in every Arxis game, and it's a mechanic where you let go of guard and then try to block a move right before it touches you. It sounds tough, but in practice, it's not that bad, especially if you put your mind to it. And a lot of Arxis fighters have the same window for instant block, 8 frames. If you can't perform this, Venom is going to lock you down hard. This is mostly coming from you are lacking the most important immediate benefit of instant block, reducing how much frame advantage your opponent has, as Venom has special moves that are advantageous that he can do from a safe range to continuous pressure. Instant block changing the opponent's frame advantage is common knowledge if you're starting the game. Someone will tell you that very early, oh, you should try to instant block this or that. But air instant block helps the defender a ton, specifically against Venom, because there are balls moving all across the air. Doing an air instant block reduces even more frame advantage from the opponent, enabling escapes so that he can't force you back to the ground and continuous offense. On top of that, if you're not playing a particularly fast character, Venom has some great mid-range buttons. Buttons like far slash and 2/. So combined with active projectiles and unique mobility options around ball sets, and by the way, when he hits the balls, they're just active, just moving at you whatever way active, he can be pretty hard to deal with. And the round can quickly snowball out of control if you get hit by a stray into a knockdown. He is a setup character as well, so if you don't enjoy blocking high-low mix-ups that loop into themselves, then he's not very fun to fight against. And finally, for my Exert players, he was a huge user of projectile YRC. Yellow roaming cancel is a mechanic that slows down time, but unlike Strive, where the slowdown is applied in a small radius around the person who's using the tension, in Exert, it costs less meter and it's full screen. So combined with a projectile, it allows him to both control the screen, confirm the situation, and set up neutral to have a big advantage. If you're not fast or if your character doesn't have a good way of dealing with slowdown, this can be extremely annoying to play against. Now for Strive Season 4, the devs did say they're trying to focus on character identity, so I think Venom is a pretty interesting pick because a lot of characters have stuff that he has, so I'm very curious to what they're going to do to Venom and how they're really going to make it work too, because he's a character that's been in Guilty Gear for a very long time and he already got streamlined in Exert, so they're going to make further revisions to the character in Strive. That being said though, we said that about Sen, that there would be no Sen because Nago's in the game and they added Sen, so I'm sure that it'll work out somehow. But yeah, as usual, let me know how you guys feel in the comment section below. I have a Patreon that I've been working on for like early releases and all sorts of stuff. Check that out at patreon.com/LordKnight. If you want Guilty Gear coaching, you can do that at Medify, medify.gg/@LordKnight. I stream most days on twitch.tv/LordKnight. Twitter at LordKnightBB, but I guess it's not called Twitter anymore. Like and subscribe if you guys feel like it too, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.